I'm doing this video because people have been commenting on my last couple of videos about the identity and sex of Lucifer. Some theorize that Lucifer is the mother goddess worshipped by the occultists and is female. I started looking into that, and this video will be about my findings in a theory. Hillel ben Shahar, S-H-A-H-A-R, was translated to Lucifer in the Vulgate and early English translations of the Bible. Lucifer is Latin for morning star. The Vulgate is a 4th century Latin translation of the Bible commissioned by Pope Damasus I. The Catholic Church affirmed the Vulgate as its official Latin Bible at the Council of Trent in the 1500s. The Vulgate then became progressively adopted as the Bible within the Western Church, including the KJV. So the Catholic Church, via the Pope, is how Lucifer replaced Hillel ben Shahar. Hillel ben Shahar is a phrase, later translated to Lucifer, used in Isaiah 14:12-15 to depict the pride and hubris of the king of Babylon at the time and celebrate his downfall using imagery. The verse goes, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit." Some say this verse is talking about Nebuchadnezzar, who was king of Babylon at the time, and some say that it's talking about Satan due to both of their boastful attitudes and desire to be like God. And this led to the belief that Satan could also be called Lucifer. But I think that Lucifer and Satan are distinct from each other, and I think they're both distinct from Hillel ben Shahar. This video will only deal with what I think the differences are between Lucifer and Hillel ben Shahar. In summary, I think Lucifer is Latin for the mother goddess, a specific Nephilim or Raphaim offspring that is characterized by female traits, while Hillel ben Shahar is a reference to a distinct and different male offspring, Nephilim or Raphaim. Hillel ben Shahar is a Hebrew phrase that translates to Hillel, son of Shachar, S-A or S-H-A-C-H-A-R. Hillel is a masculine noun. The root means boastful, to act like a madman or foolish, exalted one, shining one, from the word HLL, which means to shine, like a shining one, which is also used in reference to Nephilim or sons of human and fallen angels. Hillel is also the name of a Canaanite god of the dawn. Shachar, S-H-A-C-H-A-R, is also a masculine noun from the Canaanite and Ugaritic texts, which means dawn, morning, early light that rises. Shachar and Salim are the twin children of El and Asherah, who are pre-flood ancient Sumerian deities. El is referred to in the Ugaritic texts in Hebrew, Syriac, and Arabic. An even older form predates the Akkadian language with the Amorites, which were a giant tribe. El is even known among the Hittites, who Sanskrit originated with, and this is the language of the Aryan root race. Shahar is the marker of the dawn, son of El. So Shachar is a Nephilim or Raphaim. The name Shachar and Salim are masculine, and it appears the gods are as well. Shahar is referenced in many different texts, including Hebrew, Muslim, Phoenician, Tanakh, and the Ugarit, always described as male. So far, all representations of Hillel ben Shahar are masculine. So he is the foolish and prideful son of the god El, a Nephilim or a Raphaim. But Lucifer was inserted by the Pope to replace Hillel ben Shahar. But why? Lucifer is used to describe the morning star Venus, or the crescent moon. The Roman goddess Venus is depicted as female, sort of. This is her. She doesn't look all that female. This one is titled Venus of Medici, and the Medici house also has the Stone of Cybele, which I covered in another video. Venus and Cybele are synonymous with all the other mother goddesses worshipped by the beast systems, of which Rome was certainly one. Venus is the same as Isis, Ishtar, Inanna, Tanit, Athena, Cybele, Artemis, Aphrodite, Venus, Diana, all originating from the Mesopotamian goddess Ishtar or Inanna, who likely originated with Isis. I talked about Cybele some in my last videos, but I'm going to talk about her again because I think Cybele is key to understanding the Luciferian female characterization, because Cybele was both female and male, a hermaphrodite. She was born a hermaphrodite and then castrated by the gods. I'm sorry, this is a weird topic and it's confusing, but I think it's meant to be that way by the Luciferians because that's just how they are. It makes sense that the Roman Pope at the time would insert Lucifer as a representation of their goddess, their mother goddess, Venus, who's synonymous with all the other mother goddesses, because Venus was central to many Roman religious festivals, and so was Cybele, both associated with Rome's imperial power and often depicted on coins and in civic architecture. Venus was characterized as an ancestor of the Roman people, and that was common. Remember that Romulus and Remus were said to be the offspring of another Roman god Mars and a human woman, and that was part of their imperial power. It hasn't changed. So in other words, the Roman Pope at the time, who was in cahoots with the emperors, inserted their female mother goddess, represented by Lucifer, into the Bible in place of the male Hillel ben Shahar, because they both meant shining, and both had a representation of a morning star, which is why you see the Catholics chanting prayers to Lucifer, which is why Sir James Fraser, Pagan Knight of the Crown, referenced the transfer of Diana, the same mother goddess, transferred that worship from Lake Nemi at the Temple of Diana to the Basilica at the Vatican. As we reviewed in prior videos, Diana and Cybele were already being worshipped at Palatine Hill in Rome, along with Apollo. All of these female goddesses represent the same entity, the mother goddess, the Latin Lucifer. But is Lucifer female? I don't think so. I think Lucifer is a hermaphrodite, androgynous, dualistic, which actually makes this situation even worse with regards to mother goddess worship, because the mother goddess is a hermaphrodite, a freak of nature, a beast, whose image is worshipped. Let's look closely at Cybele. A lot of people have not heard of her. I hadn't until a couple of days ago, and there's likely a reason for that. But Cybele is important. She was worshipped in the mountains of Anatolia, which is Greek-governed ancient Turkey, and she was later adopted into the Roman pantheon as the Great Mother. She was officially made a Roman goddess in 204 BC. Cybele was mother of the gods, also mother of humans, animals, and plants, a universal goddess as described by Homer. A universal goddess. Remember that. Mother of the gods and all living things, Cybele. She was associated with fertility, nature, agriculture, and motherhood, which is very strange since she was born a hermaphrodite who the gods castrated. Priests in her cult were also sometimes castrated, like we see in the opera with castratos and in the Scythian priesthood. It's part of the Luciferian religion. That's why they push it to people today, including kids. Her cult was known for its orgiastic rites, so she was a mother and a harlot. Doesn't that sound familiar? Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots? The Romans adopted Cybele's cult after coming into contact with the Greek culture during the formative years of the Roman Republic. The Roman Senate summoned priests to consult the Book of Cybillus during the Second Punic War. The priests advised that bringing Cybele to Rome would save Italy. She's often depicted as wearing a crown, so she's a queen, and depicted wearing a veil, so she is hidden or mysterious, as in Mystery Babylon, seated on a throne and elevated. A meteoric stone at the Temple of Cybele was kept in Palatine Hill in Rome, brought from Anatolia. That stone was worshipped at the throne or seat of the Great Mother or the Mountain Mother Cybele. She also rides on a chariot like Isis, and that chariot is sometimes drawn by lions, just like Inanna and Ishtar with their lions. So this Cybele tracks from the Greek Empire in Turkey to Rome at Palatine Hill and other parts of Europe like the Frankish Merovingian Empire and Kingdom of Jerusalem with queens named Sibylla, and even to the United States with the Statue of Liberty because Cybele is synonymous with libertas. Her temple was situated on the high western slope of the Palatine Hill overlooking the valley of Circus Maximus. It was accessible via a long upward stairway known as the Stairs of Caucasus, where the goddess's festival and games were played and staged. So again, trying to ascend into heaven and be like the Most High with those stairs. The Temple of Cybele was also a monument to Romulus. The Temple of Cybele was more widely known as the Temple of the Great Mother. It was built to house a particular image or form of the goddess. It was dedicated in 191 BC in Rome, and then later another temple of Apollo and his sister Diana was erected on the orders of Augustus around 30 BC. Diana is the Roman Queen of Heaven, which I've already talked about. So let's look at the shared symbolism for the Mother Goddess coming down through the beast systems to show how they're synonymous. So first we can look at the crescent moon. Cybele, associated with the crescent moon. Tanit, associated with the crescent moon. And here is Tanit also with pine trees, and pine trees are also associated with Cybele. So they're synonymous. Isis with the crescent moon. Venus. Diana. Ishtar. Mary. Athena. This tranny from Stargate. This is Inanna Grimes. She uses this crescent moon symbolism on her thumbnail on her YouTube channel. And here's the same thing represented in the realm of the Ring Lords. Now we can talk about the 8-pointed star. Ishtar. Inanna. This says the 8-pointed star is a symbol for Venus, the planet, and the goddess Ishtar. This says the Diana 8-pointed star refers to the symbol associated with the Roman goddess Diana. Isis. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look in the middle of the screen there, you'll see that 8-pointed star on the floor of the Vatican, right there in front of the holy door that the Pope opened at Christmas. Now we can talk about the lion. So here is Cybele with the lion. Lions. Ishtar or Inanna. This says Earth Mother, variously Sirius, Iris, Virgo, Cybele is in a chariot drawn by lions. Athena in Britannia, often pictured with lions. Now we can talk about the shared symbolism of the owl. This is Cybele, often pictured with an owl. Diana with an owl. Ishtar with her owls. Athena always has an owl. Now we can talk about the graven image. The Palladion was a part of the foundation myths of both Troy and Rome. It was a wooden image of Athena, said to have fallen from heaven in answer to prayers. It was also taken from Greek Anatolia to Rome, where an actual image was kept in the temple of Vesta in the Roman Forum for centuries, and regarded as one of the sacred tokens of Roman rule or imperialism. Palladion means of or relating to the goddess Athena, who is a mother goddess. Palladion originates from Paladin, which originates from Palatine, as in Palatine Hill. And there was a temple of Cybele and Diana there on Palatine Hill. So the Bible says, "Thou shalt not make for yourself any graven image," meaning do not create any physical representation of a god or goddess or anything in heaven, earth, or waters as a form of worship or idolatry. Graven means carved or engraved, indicating that the prohibition applies to any sculpted or crafted image. And I don't think that I have to explain about the graven image of Mary in Catholicism. So now let's talk about androgyny. We already said that Cybele is a hermaphrodite. But so weird, then how is she the mother of everything if she's a hermaphrodite? So we also see that Baphomet is represented in those who worship Lucifer as a hermaphrodite. We have other male-female type characteristics. Here's Libertas, Cybele, Athena, Diana, Artemis, all masculine type figures. Here's Mother and raised by wolves. Andromache, the Scythian from the Old Guard movie. And I also found out that was Cybele that was featured in that movie. That was the Rodin statue. I went back and checked. So definitely a reference to Cybele in that movie, The Old Guard. And what about this one from The Sphere? And what about Mona Lisa? A lot of people said that she looks manly also in this painting, and she is definitely an occult graven image of the divine feminine. So in summary, I think Lucifer is Latin for the mother goddess, a specific Nephilim or Raphaim offspring that is characterized by female traits but is actually androgynous or hermaphrodite like Cybele and like the other mother goddesses. Lucifer was inserted by the Roman Pope into the Latin Vulgate to replace the male Hillel ben Shahar. It makes sense that the Roman Pope at the time would insert their mother goddess and call it Lucifer as a representation of Venus, because Venus was central to many Roman religious festivals of the time, just like Cybele and Diana, who are essentially the same mother goddess, associated not only with the pagan religion of the time, but also associated with Rome's imperial power. And to date, the occult religions worship Lucifer. It's just obfuscated sometimes to represented as the mother goddess. Thanks for listening.